Sorry guys, my microphone was off there. Welcome to the 5-day online dog trainer summit, day one. I'm super excited for you to be here. Make sure you have your pen and your paper ready. Open up a Google document so you can take all of the notes. We are going in so heavy on today. My name, of course, is Michael Aceta. I'm the owner and founder of Canine Pioneers, and I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today and be going through this event. So without further ado, let's jump in to why you're here. So, day one, super excited about it. I hope you are as well. We're jumping right into it. What we're going to do first is develop your signature training system. The objective of a signature training system is to develop and fortify your very own signature system and the best way to implement it. What is a signature system? All right, it's a set of things that work together as parts of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. That's essentially what a system is. What we're going to do is we're going to put a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done. It's an organized framework to go from where your client may be to where we want to get them to. We're just going to create a system around that, okay? Don't think too much about it. It's just a signature system. So, the simplest definition is an organized set of doctrines, ideas, or principles, usually intended to explain the arrangement of working on a systemic whole, right? So, the solar system, the ecosystem, the Dewey Decimal System, most of life and how we organize ourselves, the highway system, is a way of structuring certain things together so it makes it easier for us to digest. It makes it easier for understanding and explaining to somebody else. And so if you can do that with your training, you'll be that much better of a trainer. Now, Cesar Millan, Karen Pryor, myself, and any other dog trainer uses a signature training system. This is not something new. This is what trainers have been doing forever. Maybe they didn't call it a signature training system, but everybody does it too one way or another. All right. Cesar Millan had no touch, no talk, no eye contact. He also had exercise, discipline, affection. Right. These are systems that he created to make it easier for him to explain how to behave around a dog, how to understand a dog's body language without having to go into, the 7 steps of reading a dog, which in of itself is a system. Karen Pryor had the 10 laws of shaping. She also had, the 8 ways to eliminate behavior. All of those things are systems that have been created to make it easier to explain and digest information. For me, I have my own system on teaching any behavior, and I've been able to write books and courses and webinars on the topic itself. So if you think of any trainer, if you look hard enough, you will find their signature training system. Now, here are some benefits of having a signature training system and why you want to develop one and what we're going to do today. So studies show that it helps us as teachers explain information more effectively, and our students actually retain the bigger concepts easier. They understand why they're doing something and how they're doing it, and maybe the steps involved, but most likely not those tiny little details that we get bogged down as trainers. Right? When we're studying something, we get so involved and we love learning every tiny nook and cranny and detail. Our clients really don't care. And so what happens is if we create a system that they can follow, they don't have to learn all the tiny little details, but they can still get the same result. See? Now, benefit 2 is that it allows you to use your system in any way that you like I had. I had made a book and I talked about it on my podcast. I made courses and webinars. We're going to talk about using it in coaching, but you can use it in interviews, in workshops, in conferences. Anywhere you could imagine, this signature system is going to follow you. Anytime you explain any topic that you're an expert on, your signature system is going to help you. And that leads me to benefit 3. It enables you to quickly answer your clients' questions and get them back on track when things go wrong, right? You guys both speak the same language now. So if you're saying, well, I have a 7-step system, let's say, and step 2 is starting to fall apart for whatever reason, then we can always go back to step 2. We don't have to think about the entire training sequence as a whole. We can just look at that one step within the system. It makes it that much easier, right? They text you, they say, hey, my dog's not listening. And in my system, step 2 is about adding the words in that get our dog to do what we want them to do when we ask them to do it. So step 2 has multiple pieces to it. If a dog's not listening, it's a problem with step 2. It has nothing to do with step 1 or step 3 through 7. Step 2 is the problem. We'll only focus on step 2. And I can tell them, go back to step 2 in the module, in their course, and rewatch that module, right? Now, here's how we make a signature training system. And funny enough, my signature training system framework is a training system. It's a system I've created to help create signature training systems. It's kind of like a Matrix, not Matrix. What's that other movie? Inception. It's system inception. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is brainstorm and document. We got to get everything out of our brain. Then we are going to simplify. We need to simplify all of the big concepts that are in our brain and make it easier to digest and start to implement on a certain level. And then we're going to test and refine. It's not so easy to just take all of the information you have from 10 years of experience and thousands of dogs and hours of research and studying and education and try to boil it down into a couple steps. Like, that's not easy. And so what ends up happening is we put way more than we need to, and then we test and refine. We simplify, test, and refine to make it easier for our clients to digest the information. So I'm sure we all know what a Rubik's Cube is. Very, very complicated, okay? So I'm going to use a Rubik's Cube to help simplify and break down our system, because to solve a Rubik's Cube, there are multiple systems. Beautiful, right? So the first thing we need to do is find out what the problems we solve are. Like, what's the goal of your system? Is it you're trying to stop dogs from being reactive? Are you trying to teach a service dog training? Or are you just trying to do general obedience or puppy socialization? What is the goal of your signature training system? For me, it's helping dog owners who are struggling with problematic behaviors end up doing more with their dog. Right? They want to go hiking. They want to be able to do kayaking. They want to, sports outside activities. They want to do competitions. But right now they're struggling because their dog's not listening. And so the problem I solve is dog owners who are struggling, who want to be able to do more with their dog. Then you list off all the techniques that you would use in training. Everything you could possibly think of. If you're thinking about a Rubik's Cube, think about all the colors and the arrangements that they are. Right? There's only, and we're going to talk about this in a second, there's only 6 colors. But if you look at a Rubik's Cube that's all messed up, there's so many color combinations involved. Those are all the techniques that you're going to write down. Then you're going to pair the problems with potential solutions using your techniques. So if we were looking at a Rubik's Cube, we'd say, well, I got to pair these 2 yellows together, right? I got to pair the 2 reds together. I got to pair 2 oranges together, whatever it may be. We want to start pairing the problems and the potential solutions. And we're going to do that by creating a mind map. We're going to color coordinate, and then we're going to document your system. And we're going to do that together today. Now, to simplify, this is what I was saying. There's only 6 colors on a Rubik's Cube. So we're going to break down everything that you just got out on your mind into the main key concepts. Typically, you want to stick between 3 and 7. Above that, we're getting to the more scientific side of things, right? The 10 laws of shaping, the 8 ways to eliminate behavior, those kinds of things. But notice Cesar Millan, who is one of the biggest dog trainers in terms of marketing and well-known, has only had 3 words or 3 short phrases in succession. Exercise, discipline, affection. No touch, no talk, no eye contact. Super easy to remember. Not that you may agree with Cesar Millan and his methods, we can understand why his marketing worked so well. All right, then any more, and you're getting into that science system that I said, right? And what we're going to do is categorize, boil it down, and then ask, does this still make sense? Right? You want to get as small as possible, but still making sense. That's why we're simplifying it. We're not reducing it to its, 1 step. If it doesn't make sense on 3 steps, maybe you need 4 or 5. If 5 isn't doing it, maybe you need to do 7. That's okay to have up to 7. You can even do 10 or 15 steps, depending on what skill set or problem that you're trying to implement and the goal that you're trying to reach. All right? Then we're going to test and refine it. So once someone solves a Rubik's Cube, they have competitions where they time it. And the world record was actually just broken. I think it's 3 seconds and 13 milliseconds or something. Absolutely insane. So what they did was there was systems created to solve a Rubik's Cube. People got really good at it. They boiled it down to a small number of steps, and they've tested and refined it over and over and over again after the last, I think, 50 years, to where instead of taking 4 months to solve the Rubik's Cube by yourself, you can do it in 3 seconds. Maybe not you and I can do it in 3 seconds, but the world record holder can do it in 3 seconds, all right? This is the only way to consistently improve your coaching, training, and teaching of your clients. If every time you go in to train a client, you're just coming off the top of the dome, right? You're trying to figure it out in the moment. What ends up happening is your client gets a unique experience, which is great, but it's not a reliable experience. And if you get someone 6 months from now with the exact same situation, the same dog, you may remember what you talked about with that last trainer. You may, but most likely you're going to come up with something completely new. And if you're always coming up with something new, there's no way for you to improve it and measure it and make sure it's successful. That's what having a good system is going to do for you. With each new client, you're going to help your system improve. After each session, I want you to look back and see what needed more explanation and then refine it over time. The more you do this, the easier it'll get. I trained over 12,000 dogs. That's how I knew my system was working. I was like, okay, my system's fantastic. Let's go all in and write a book and start doing courses. After I trained 12,000 dogs with the system. You cannot rush this stage. All right, we need to implement it. You need to review and then brainstorm some more. So you're going to go back to step one after testing and refining. Now, let's look at some examples of the signature system at work. We're going to talk about obedience. We're going to talk about teaching tricks and overexcitement. You can plug this into anything that you are teaching, any problem that you're trying to solve or any goal that you're trying to accomplish. So in obedience here, we're going to use a mind map, right? I'm going to take the target topic of obedience, and you can put anything in there, and I'm just going to start branching off everything I can think of. This is a very short list. When I did this, I had a full whiteboard, and I just started drawing everywhere and circling and color coordinated, which we're going to do in a second. So let's look. Right, we have sit, down, stay, heel, recall. Okay, those are the 5 main behaviors that you're teaching in obedience. Good, we should have that down. Well, we got to talk about rewarding. If they know nothing of obedience, we got to talk about rewarding. We got to talk about timing. We got to talk about adding the cue. How are we going to get the dog to perform the behavior? And then we got to do duration. Let's say duration, right? For whatever reason, I chose duration over out of the 3 Ds, but you could put the 3 Ds and that would just kind of be one category. So now we're going to color coordinate them. So as the behaviors, sit, down, stay, heel, recall, that's red. Then we have technique in the orange of timing and rewarding. And, adding the cue could be technique. Duration could be technique, but I decided to put those in fluencies. If you know the fluencies of behavior, you'll know what I'm talking about. Latency, duration, distance, distraction, precision, speed, motivation, those kinds of things. All right, so that's a fluency of behavior. So now that I've color coordinated them, I've kind of separated them a little bit, I could start with, first we're going to learn technique. That's the first part of my system, step 1, technique. You're going to learn about timing, you're going to learn about rewards, etc. Then we're going to go into the behaviors. You're going to learn how to teach your dog sit, down, etc. And then we're going to go into the fluency. We're going to improve on those behaviors. We're going to add the cues that we want, maybe multiple cues for a behavior. We're going to talk about distractions. We're going to talk about duration, those kinds of things. All right, let's do it for tricks. Brainstorming and documenting. We're getting this stuff down. Then we're going to simplify it. Right, the simplification in the obedience here was technique, behaviors, fluency. And then I'm going to test it. I'm going to implement it on a certain scale and make sure everything's working, make sure everything's smooth. If behaviors and fluency are too confusing, maybe I just bring it to 2, technique and behaviors. Maybe I have a prep step, or maybe I have advanced behaviors, those kinds of things. All right, this is just a basic understanding of it to help you start thinking about your signature training system. And the odds are you already have one. We're now just putting it on paper. Right? Most of you have a way that you teach and you kind of fall into this routine. What we're going to do is structure it so that you can more easily fall into the routine and use it in more aspects. All right? So let's look at tricks. Tricks here, we have luring, shaping, back chaining, distractions, and stimulus control. Right? Stimulus control tells our dog when to do it, when not to do it. Okay? So in this case, stimulus control is by itself. It's orange, put on cue, not part on cue, put on the cue. So stimulus control, I tell my dog to do it, they do it. As a trick, that's really how you're going to get the trick to happen, right? Most dogs don't just do tricks in general, unless it's a trick like paw or something like that. But most dogs, if you're going to ask them to go grab you a water bottle from the fridge, that's a trick that would have to be on cue. So that's going to be number 1 maybe, or maybe number 2. Starting the trick should definitely be number 1. Right? Luring, shaping, back chaining. How do we motivate the dog to do it? That could be step 1. And then step 3 would be real world training, talking about distractions. I got to get out into the environment and make sure my dog can do this trick in all the situations we need them to do it in. If you're bringing your dog to movie sets, first thing you're going to do is start with the trick, and then you're going to put it on a cue. Maybe the cue is somebody saying it, right? The cue in the scene, not you. Maybe it's a light going off that tells a dog to go do something. And then real world training, got to make sure that dog's doing it perfectly before you bring them to set. All right? Let's talk about overexcitement here. Stimulus control, we got that. Calming down, management, energy burning, self-redirection, and then redirection. Right? Those are 2 different things. Self-redirection means our dog did it completely by themselves, and redirection means I have to redirect them. So in this case, we might break it down into prevention, in the moment, and training. If you're trying to stop somebody from having a reactive dog or overexcitement, the first thing we need to do is prevent them. We need to burn their energy, so it's easier to train them in the moment and training outside the moment, right? To control them in the moment and training, we need to burn their energy. It makes it easier for us to deal with an overexcited dog. All right, maybe we need to manage things. Don't take them to certain areas. That's prevention. In the moment, how do I calm my dog down when they're freaking out? And how do I redirect them? How do I get them out of the situation when they're crazed about going to the dog park and we're not even close to the dog park? And then training. How do we set apart time in our day-to-day life and work on self-redirection and stimulus control? I tell my dog when they're allowed to go do something. I tell my dog, I say their name and they turn around, or self-redirection rather, they do it on their own. Right, so prevention in the moment and training if you have an overexcitement type of goal. My dog's overexcited, I want to be able to do stuff with them. All right, so your system is the foundation here. Once you have taken the time to make your signature system, everything else becomes a hell of a lot easier. Like if you wanted to make a book, if you want to make a course, what we're going to talk about today, which is coaching, right? This is your homework for tonight. Make your signature training system rough draft. And actually, in the mastermind community, you will find a challenge section that I want you to post your signature training system rough draft in. If you do that, other people can see it. We're not going to steal anything from you. It's actually supposed to keep you accountable and motivate you to make a better and better program over time. And so other people might ask questions. They will give you good feedback like, this looks interesting. I don't know what you mean by this, right? It should be easy to understand. In all of my examples, prevention in the moment training, easy to understand, right? Start the trick, put it on cue, real world training, easy to understand. Fluency behaviors technique might be a little more challenging. Depending on who you're talking to, fluency means nothing. Right? So maybe I say advanced, right? Instead of fluency. All we're trying to do is make it easy for someone to understand our system, right? It does not need to be perfect, but it should be ready for implementation and refinement. All you got to do is get everything out of your brain, and I know that's a lot. Get everything out of your brain, write it down, brainstorm, color coordinate, start to make an outline and a rough draft. Post that into the community so we can all see it, and you will have completed, as long as you do everything else in the challenge, you'll complete challenge mission 1. So now we're going to create your offer, right? And as a system brings itself into the situation, it helps us understand things better. So I'm going to be using systems a lot throughout this summit. So in our offer creation framework, we have our core offer, we have some embellishments, and then we're going to wrap it up nicely. You can just think of a present in this case, okay? So we're going to talk about is your value-based pyramid. We're going to talk about you versus your client and the delivery model matrix, yet another system. See how fantastic systems are? I hope it makes it easy for you to digest this information. So we have our value-based pyramid here. We're going to work our way up. We don't start from the top, we start from the bottom. The bottom is the problem that you solve. What problem do you solve? What goal are you trying to achieve? Then we move up and we talk about the time that it takes. I'm going to go in more depth on this in just a moment. The time that it takes. And then last is the effort involved to achieve that goal, right? So this is what most things look like. We have a problem. It takes a really long time and there's a lot of effort involved. Think about anything. You have a lot of dishes in the sink. It takes a long time to do the dishes, and the effort involved is I got to scrub all the plates that I left there, right? So it's all equal. They all suck, okay? That's why it's red here. It's supposed to be irritating. There's a big problem. It takes a long time to solve, and it requires a lot of effort. Now, on the other hand, if the problem you solve is big, it takes a little bit of time or the smallest amount of time possible and the least amount of effort possible, then we have this beautiful pyramid and everything is balanced. And so in the case of the dishwasher example, the problem that you solve is you have these dishes. The time it takes is maybe a minute to load them all into the dishwasher, and I don't have to use some elbow grease to clean all those dishes. All I got to do is put them in and put them away. The dishwasher solved the value pyramid perfectly. All right, and that's what we're going to do for you today. This is the most important part of the pyramid is the problem. If you're trying to solve the wrong problem, you will get nowhere. If in the dishes example, someone's not caring about solving the dishes, but rather keeping the sink clean, that problem's not big enough. I got dishes in the sink. I got to handle the dishes before I handle the sink. So someone's got to handle the dishes. So if the problem you solve isn't big enough, it doesn't matter. But if you solve the right problem, the other two levels don't matter as much. It gives us more flexibility, which we'll talk about. So what is the problem that you solve? Here's the easiest way to think about it. I help blank with blank who blank and blank. I know that's a lot of blanks, okay? I help dog owners with aggressive dogs who want to be able to enjoy their dog and do more. Okay, I help single mom dog owners with massive dog breeds who want to walk down the street and not get pulled in every direction. That's not every single mom dog owner. That's not every single owner with a massive dog breed, right? It's just I help single mom dog owners with massive dog breeds who want to walk down the street and not get pulled in every direction. I help blank, who blank, and blank. Write that down now. What is your problem that you solve? The more specific you can get, the better you will be at creating your offer, right? Because now I'm specifically targeting who I want. The bigger the problem, the more value you provide. So in this case, in this diagram here, the big problem you solve completely outweighs the amount of time and the effort. All right, is it impossible for someone else to solve it, but you can easily do it? You have found the golden ticket. Right? This is why aggressive dog trainers do fairly well. Right? People have no idea how to solve an aggressive dog problem. They might know how to teach obedience, and so being an obedience trainer might be a little more challenging, a little more difficult to provide that much value unless you can show them the value, which we're going to talk about in our selling masterclass, showing the value. That's on day 4, so stay tuned for that. Right? This is yet another reason for your signature system. I know I keep coming back to the signature system. It's so amazing, and if I can drill that into your head, if you get nothing from this summit, creating a signature system should be the one thing that you take away from this, because everything else becomes that much easier if you have a system. All right, you essentially become a party of one, which means you are the only person who knows your system and can solve someone else's problem with it. Right? Apple is a party of one. They're the only ones with an Apple computer, an iPhone. Right? They just came out with a certain microchip that makes their computer that much better. They became a party of one because no one competes with them on that level. They have the Apple chip. And if the Apple chip is exclusive to them, the people who want the Apple microchip will go just to Apple. All right. Same reason people go to fast food joints, right? If you really want McDonald's French fries, no one else has a McDonald's French fry. You become the person who can solve their problem, and your signature system creates that party of one mindset. Because you might have other trainers who can solve aggressive dog problems, but you can do it in 4 easy steps that take 6 weeks to do. Boom. Your signature system has helped you become a party of one. You also get faster and more efficient at solving the problem, which leads to the next level, which is time. All right, what is the amount of time that it takes? Amazon, fast food, streaming services all have this in common. They took someone else's business model and they just made it faster. That's it. Amazon took from UPS, fast food took from restaurants, streaming services took from the movies and Blockbuster. Right? This is a cheat code that a lot of businesses play off of. Find what someone else did and maximize the efficiency to eliminate the time. Right? What if you could solve someone's reactivity dog problem in 30 seconds? You'd have a massive problem in a very short amount of time. People hate waiting and will often give up completely if they think it's taking too long. Right? If you're like, oh, we're going to do reactivity and it takes 16 months to do, people are just going to say, forget it. I'll either get a new dog or I'll just live with the reactivity if it's not that big of a problem. All right? How can you give them a win in the shortest time possible is usually what I like to frame. So even if it might take 16 months to get something accomplished, it might take 30 days to get something accomplished. How can I get them a win right now? The faster you can get them a win, the shorter the time feels overall. All right? The bigger the problem that you solve, the more room you have to play with. This is what I mentioned earlier. All right? Timing is relative, just like anything. So if I have a massive problem and it takes me 3 weeks to solve, you see how it seems imbalanced? It seems balanced, rather. Right? Everything seems to make more sense. It's like, well, I got this massive problem. Of course it's going to take 3 weeks. But if I have a medium problem or just a general problem and it takes 3 weeks to solve, that's no way. Right? If it's completely out of balance, the pyramid's not going to work well. And you end up frustrating or completely losing a client. I'll tell you a quick story. I was shopping on the DMV. I was trying to figure some things out. And it said it took 5 days for them to respond to an email and not to expect an email response within 5 days. An email response, that's not a massive problem. Right? An email response should be 20 minutes, maybe a half hour if someone's sitting there at the computer and they get the notification. But instead, the DMV said, don't expect a response for 5 days when I sent them an email asking for help. 5 days from now, I'm going to forget why I was even on the DMV, right? So if you find a massive problem, massive problem, you have more time to solve it. If you have a medium problem, like obedience, let's say, you do not have a massive time to solve it, all right? Now, you still want to make it as small as possible. So if I have a massive problem and I can solve it in 7 days instead of 3 weeks, My pyramid's looking fantastic. That's what we want. And the last piece, this is the most important at getting the smallest. We want to create the smallest amount of effort possible. All right, it is not good enough just to solve a massive problem in the shortest amount of time. You must maximize someone's effort. What if I told you you could solve world hunger instantly? All you have to do is run to Mars. Would you do it? No, it's impossible. The amount of effort to run to Mars does not equate or have the same value as the problem that you're trying to solve and the time that it would take to solve it. Right? The time is instantaneous, but the effort is way too much. It's literally impossible. The effort required is so great that the time and the problem are completely irrelevant. Since effort is at the top of our list, it is the most flexible. All right? If you can solve a big problem fast, then the effort you have more room with, but you still got to make it as small as possible, all right? It's relative to the problem and the time. So this is the best case scenario. You have this massive problem, no time spent on it, and no effort, right? Just time and effort would not exist in relation to the massive problem. This is reality, all right? This is what we're going to get to by creating your insanely awesome offer. The massive problem, the shortest amount of time, and the minimal effort required for it. Now, let's talk about you versus your client. When we're talking about you versus your client, we're really talking about three things here: your energy, your time, and your problems. This is your effort, your time, and your problems, right? The amount of energy required that you have to put into it, the amount of time you have to put into it, and the problems that you have to solve in relation to your client's energy, time, and problems they have to solve put into it. Now, the most value you can give them is trading your energy, your time, and the problems of your clients. This is harder to deliver on, but provides the most value. You're going to spend the energy and the time and take their problems from them. All right? Now, vice versa, giving your client more problems and taking away their time and energy is the fastest way to go out of business. It's the fastest way. If you're like, hey, it's going to cost you a lot of time, you're going to have to put a lot of energy in this, and I'm going to create more problems for you by making you believe that you have to do it my way, and it's more difficult to do it my way, it's not easier, I'm going to make more problems for you. That's the fastest way to go to business. No one is going to spread your glorified services. No one's going to get you referrals. No one's going to do promotion for you because you made their life harder, not easier. All right? All of this to say, to make the best coaching program, you must solve a big problem as fast as possible and make it easy and enjoyable for your clients while staying in business. We're going to talk about pricing and different offer kind of things in a minute, right? So you need to make this as easy and enjoyable. We know that for dogs, right? We want to make it enjoyable and fun. We have to do the exact same thing for our clients, right? They learn better. Now, let's talk about the delivery model matrix. Everybody take a deep breath. I know that was a lot. We're going to talk about the delivery model matrix, all right? Now, there's three categories here: done for you, done with you, and do it yourself. And then within that, we have different options: 24/7 or unlimited. We have a package, and we have a single. We're going to talk about it. Let's do it. So the done for you is exactly what it sounds like. I'm doing it for the client. This is the highest value possible, right? You do all the work and they get all the benefit. You put more effort into it, you put more time into it, you solve all their problems, and they don't have any problems, they didn't spend any time, and they didn't spend any effort doing it. All right? When someone buys your done for you service, they're buying your time and effort so you can take on their problems. That's really all the money is doing, right? They're paying you to spend time and energy to take on their problems. Now, the board and train and daycares are the best suited for done for you. I show up, I give you my dog, you do the board, you do the train, you do the daycare, and all I did was trade money for your time, energy, and effort. All right? Now, the do-it-yourself, and we're going to talk about the done with you in a moment, the do-it-yourself is the lowest value you could provide somebody. It's bottom, all right? You are helping them solve the problem, but not minimizing time or effort. You could actually be giving them more work, which is why it's the easiest way to go out of business, right? You could be giving them more work and taking up more of their time, since they have to learn what to do and go through trial and error. You're giving them the resources. You're like, hey, do X, Y, and Z. But first, you have to learn what X is, you have to learn what Y is, and you have to learn what Z is. All right, this is typically used in low-price options like books, mini courses, YouTube videos. YouTube videos are perfect for the do-it-yourself. All right, they're not useless. And we're going to be using them later to add value, but let's just use YouTube videos for an example. You could sit and watch 3 hours of YouTube videos and still have no idea what you're doing, right? You're trying to learn on your own. You're spending the time watching these videos. You got to research the video. You have to pause and rewind the video. You have to follow along with them. You still could be lost and not get the same result because your situation doesn't fit. And so the do-it-yourself is not useless. We're going to talk about it, but it is the lowest value you could possibly provide to someone. Okay. Now the best value, it's not the highest, it's not the lowest, it's right in the middle, and it's fair between you versus your client, is the done with you, right? This gives your client the solution, it minimizes effort and time, and it's also insanely cost effective to you personally, right? For the business. So the benefit is that you both get a win. It's a win-win situation, right? But you're not putting as much time or energy into it. It's actually equal between the two of you. So they still have to put the time and energy into it, and they still have to solve somewhat of their own problems, but you're sharing the load because you're spending time and energy with them to solve the problems faster. You're cutting down on the effort and time because you're giving them solutions, but they still have to solve the problem themselves. See how it kind of balances out there, right? You are helping them achieve a certain result with 100% success and certainty. You're going to make sure that they succeed. That's the solving the problem. That's that massive problem piece. You're guiding them every step of the way, and so that their effort and time are minimized, and you can maximize the problem that you solve and the efficiency at which you solve it. Now, here are those different options within the done for you, done with you, and do it yourself. 24/7 unlimited, this is highest value, right? You're spending the most amount of time and energy into it. You assume the time, which gives you the highest value, right? You're just taking up the time to solve the problem. Your client is paying for your time and effort to solve the problem. The more time you give them, the less time they are giving, right? Again, there's a balancing act here. The more time you give, the less time they give. 24/7 and unlimited access is great for support, courses, communities, etc. Time and money are relative. Be careful of giving away too much of your time without monetary compensation. The more time you give, the higher price it goes. All right, but this is unlimited in a way. It's 24/7. They could call you with support. They could have access to a course. They could have access to a community where other people are involved. You guys have that, right? You have support. You have access to the community. And you're going to start to see these things in the offer that was presented to you. And maybe that's why you decided to join the summit. You go, oh, wow, like this is actually working. I'm going to use this in my business. You're seeing the inner workings of the offer that you are attending right now. All right. Now, the single, big trainers get this wrong. Massive trainers get this wrong. They charge $75 for a 5-minute phone call. If you think that you're being expensive, go look at other trainers' prices. $75 for a 5-minute phone call. Right? This is the lowest value for your client to purchase unless in time that you can solve their problem instantly. So if a 5-minute phone call solves my problem perfectly, then sure, I'll pay $75 for it. But most cases, they're not. 5 minutes is just not enough time to give them a full transformation and solve their problem. It's not going to be worth it. Single sessions lend themselves to rushing information and overwhelming your client. If I had to teach you everything about dog training in 5 minutes, if I had to take this entire presentation today and put it into 5 minutes, sure, I could do it, especially with a system, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, right? I could do that, but you're going to be overwhelmed with information. You're probably going to be overwhelmed with information after the summit today because it's a lot. And that's why we created systems to try to make it as easy as humanly possible. But you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're going to need to rewatch this and use the worksheets, and that's why I provide you with more support. But in a single session, you can't do that. You're like, well, that's it. Done, right? It's just, so they can be used as valuable additions or as a bonus, but they should never be the core offer. Right? It's very similar to the do-it-yourself option. I'm essentially saying, here's the solution, now go figure it out. You spend the time and energy and effort. I'm just going to help you solve the problem with the solution. Right? This is the lowest value. Here's the best value. The best value is a package. Right? So in relationship to the number of sessions in a package or something like that, the amount of sessions they get, the amount of months that they get for support, those kinds of things. It's the best value as an online dog trainer, or in my opinion, in general business. A package of some kind is always better. Would I rather buy a box of pasta or a case of 12 boxes of pasta? It's probably going to be cheaper to buy the case of 12 boxes of pasta, and I love pasta. So I'm going to buy the box because it's going to last longer. I'm going to be using it more, and it's cheaper in the front end. So this gives you the most time to help them have a complete transformation without spending 24/7 solving their problem. You're not constantly involved, but you have the most amount of time and energy that you can invested in helping them solve the problem. This is time and cost effective for you as a business owner and actually the client, because it's not as expensive as a single, and they don't have to put as much time and effort into it by themselves in the case of a single. All right. The perceived value is also higher for the client. They know their problem is going to get solved because you're guiding them every step of the way, right? They get more bang for their buck. There's a minimal time commitment per week, especially if we're talking about sessions. So we're going to do a half hour every week, short time. That's how we get them a win. I can get you in tomorrow for a half hour, and we're going to meet every week for 6 weeks. It's a short time commitment in their eyes, even if they have to train every day. The time commitment is small, and the effort is not overwhelming. We're going to break it down. Instead of doing everything in 5 minutes, we're going to do it over 6 weeks in a package. It's the best value you can provide someone. So here's the delivery model matrix again. Your core offer should be the done with you in a package. That's coaching. That's all coaching is, right? I'm going to do it with you, and we're going to do it over a period of time, not just once. So I want you to save this for later. The option to do it yourself, the single, the 24/7 unlimited, the core offer is the done with you and the packages. All right? Now we get into the embellishment. The embellishment. Stacking services setup, another system, bonuses and guarantees, all right? So here's our next system, the stacking services setup. Opportunity, option, optimize. Opportunity, option, optimize. There's 3 pieces here, all right? So the opportunity, all we're going to do is go back through the list of problems you made earlier, everything that you wrote down, all the problems that your clients are having, and the solutions and techniques that you're going to use. You're going to lay all that out. You're going to find all the other problems that you can solve and embellish your offer to make it more valuable, right? Focus on the problems that might come up before you start training or during the training session. So if you're going to be talking about reactivity, all right, and the main problem is the dog gets overexcited about other dogs. The other problems you might experience is, well, you have 2 dogs. So that's an opportunity to embellish your core offer of focusing on how to get your dog calm around other dogs. The second piece might be, well, maybe you want to bring a new dog into the house, or you have a second dog and your dog seems fine with them, but sometimes loses it. Okay, that's an opportunity there. We want to create as many opportunities as possible, and then we'll narrow it down later. So it could be management, it could be socialization, it could be health checks, whatever you can do to add to your core offer. This is your opportunity for stacking services. All right. Now we want to pick an option. So just take one of the problems and now pick one of the options from the delivery model matrix. Depending on the problem that you selected, one option might fit better. So in the case of what I had just said about, maybe you're going to do socialization, just period socialization. Instead of reactivity, you're going to add socialization in there. After the training, maybe they want to do some socialization and get a new dog in. Is that going to be a do-it-yourself workbook? Or a single PDF? Is it going to be a done with you package as support going forward? Is it going to be a done with you 24/7 unlimited going forward? All right, depending on the problem, it's going to change how you implement it. We're going to flush all this out in just a minute. I'm giving you a big overview here. So if you're a little confused, don't worry. We're gonna go through it together. Okay. Over time, you can adjust this option, but for right now, just pick whichever one you think is the best option based on what we talked about earlier. So if you're like, well, I know done with you is good for coaching. Do it yourself might be like a PDF. Maybe a PDF would work for the opportunity that you're seeing. And then we're going to optimize. All right. So now that you have a problem and an option, we want to optimize it for the business. By what medium can you deliver it and still provide the maximum value without costing you a lot of money? So if we had picked the done with you single, right? So I'm going to do one in-person session with you. Well, is that optimized? Or would a video actually be better? I can make you a one-off video specifically targeting the solution for the problem that you're having, right? And that might be the opportunity. So the opportunity, let's say the opportunity is managing having a dog, a rabbit, and a cat in one house. And the main core offer is a reactivity program. It's like, well, we're not going to necessarily talk about the rabbit and the cat. We're going to talk about our system for reactivity. But we want to do a done with you single option. Okay, and so we're going to optimize that by doing an in-home session, or maybe we do a video where I get a bunny. We're talking about value, or I'm going to go get a bunny to do this with, or a fake bunny or whatever, and I'm going to step-by-step walk you through this. Now, this may be a part of your core offer. That's totally fine. We're going to talk about how embellishment actually helps you in just a minute. All right, so let's look at it. Opportunity, option, optimize. I got a dog pulling on the walk. Maybe we were just talking obedience, but the dog's also pulling on the walk, and we would consider that manners. And so we want to embellish our obedience core offer with the DIY single, and that's a do-it-yourself PDF. All right. I could also do a dog pulling on the leash, done for you single. I'm going to come and teach your dog how to walk on leash in person. Right? I'm going to actually do it. And yes, these are two different dogs. Okay. And then maybe here we want our dog to play and socialize with other dogs, but we're nervous, we're afraid. So the done with you single, I'm going to come out once and do an in-person training session with you, and I'm going to show you what to look for. You could also do, in this case with this dog, you could do a PDF, do it yourself, where you're decoding dog behavior. Right? And just to give their confidence up when they go to the park and they're worried about what their dog's thinking, it's like, well, if you knew dog behavior, you could more easily distinguish what the problem was. Dogs ruining the house. DIY 24/7 access. Maybe it's a course, a video course. Right? In this case, for the optimize, you could also do a support phone call. Oh, my dog just destroyed the house. Give me a call. But this is a done for you 24/7 access course about management in the house, or manners, and teaching them to relax. Okay, your dog has separation anxiety. This is a done for you single. Maybe I make a downloadable MP3 that you can play so your dog thinks you're still in the house, and this is done for you. Right? I made the MP3 for you, and so all you have to do is play it when you leave to hopefully calm your dog down. All right, now we're going to talk about bonuses. This is, again, in that embellishment phase. We had our core offer, which could be whatever you decide, what problem that you're solving and the amount of time and the effort involved, and now we're adding bonuses to it, all right? So to create an effective bonus, we need to take our stacking service setup and add future problem solutions. And instead of picking a problem that they might have before coming to you or during your coaching, we are now going to use it for the problem that they're going to have in the future. So what will they need after working with you? What will they need after working with you? Opportunity, option, optimize. It's the exact same format. How do I keep them successful long term? It's a DIY single PDF on reward schedules. Or maybe it's a done for you. I'm actually going to take your work schedule and I'm going to help you plug in the times that you should be training over the next 6 months. Right? What if I need help in the future? Done with you package 24/7 support phone calls. Right? Well, it's a package, not a 24/7, but maybe for the package, we want to you get 6 phone calls a month. You can call me at any time for ever long as you need. And maybe that's a subscription model. So they can do that as long as they want until they feel comfortable with their dog being trained, and then you can move on. All right? I don't want to carry treats around all day. I get this constantly. I don't want to carry treats around. Like, is there anything else I can do? Is there how long do I have to have these treats? It's done for you 24/7 access course for maybe service dog training, right? So I've taken my core offer, which is a service dog training program. After we finish the program, somebody says, I don't want to carry treats around all day. All right, cool. Here's the course on reward schedules and what to do if your dog starts to fail. How do we bring them back up because you haven't been carrying treats around with you? All right. Now we're going to talk about guarantees. All right, we have our core offer, we have our embellishments, we have bonuses, and this is guarantees. We're adding this too. All right, guarantees are just a results-based insurance. The client wants to know, will the problem be solved? Right. So you have this massive problem. Your client's confidence in your ability to solve that problem will determine whether they say yes or no. Right. If they don't think that you can solve the problem, they're not going to say yes. And so your guarantee helps you reassure them and have insurance on you are going to be able to solve the problem. So there's only really 2 ways to use guarantees. You can refund the core offer if you don't hit the guarantee, or you can add more of the stacking services. So a 30-day money-back guarantee. If they're unhappy, they keep the bonuses but lose the main offer. That's a great guarantee. hey, in 30 days, if you're not happy, I will give you your money back. You can keep all the bonuses. And the bonuses might be a PDF and an MP3 and a course. You can keep all those as I'm giving you money back and I'm going to have you keep those, but they lose the one-on-one private coaching with you. Or you can give them more services until they reach their goal. So, hey, if in 30 days you're not happy, not only will I give you your money back, but I'm going to do 3 more private sessions with you in trying to, get you the result as fast as possible and keep you as a client or whatever. Of course, you'd want to phrase it better than that, but that would be, the way to break it down. You essentially want to use your stacking services as collateral. Like if you went to a bank and you had a car and you're trying to get a loan, said, hey, you don't have any money, so how are we going to get paid back if you can't pay back this loan? The car is the collateral. All right. If someone's not happy with your service or does not get the result, use the services you added on as collateral. If they're unhappy, they keep the bonuses, or you give them more of the additional services, right? They get to keep the bonuses. You take everything else away, right? This builds massive value since the bonuses should be more than a core offer anyway when put all together. And the bonuses for this program are over $15,000. They're massive bonuses. And so if you see that and you didn't like this, but you still got to keep the bonuses, you'd be like, that's amazing, right? You're still giving the solutions they are looking for without your highest costing service. Your highest costing service to you is your time in the one-on-one done with you package coaching, right? It's most valuable, but it costs you time, money, and effort to do. So what you're saying is, hey, here's some value. I'm going to keep giving you this, but I'm going to take away the thing that costs me the most, right? And it's not about being selfish and greedy, but you got to keep the business running while providing more value, because at some point they might come back. Maybe it didn't work for them in that moment because they were in a different stage in their life and they just weren't ready to receive that information. And this was the other part, adding more stacked services. People still want the problem solved, right? The problem didn't go away. In fact, the problem might have gotten worse because time has already elapsed, right? So give them more sessions, more time, more effort to help them solve it. Hey, if we don't solve this in 30 days, I will personally fly out to wherever you are and do an in-person training session with you to make sure you're successful. Right? An online coaching program, maybe they're just not picking it up for whatever reason. They're just not getting it. I got to be there. I'm going to fly out to you. Stack on services to ensure their success. In person, more private sessions, 24/7 support if you don't already offer it. All right? This type of guarantee helps motivate you to get them the result and stay on top of their success. Right? If it costs you a lot to give them that guarantee back, you want to make sure that they're really successful. 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not happy with our services, we will give you your money back, no questions asked, and you get to keep our bonuses. That was the original version. The 90-day results guarantee. If you don't reach your goal using our system in 90 days, we will keep working with you until you do. There has to be a strong criteria for this one, and they must do all the work in order to reach the goal. This is what's called a conditional guarantee. So it's like, hey, if you're not successful in 90 days, I'll keep working with you forever until we hit what you want to hit. But you can't miss a session. You can't miss a payment. You have to do everything I tell you to do and keep a record of it, because you could just not do any of the training and you like talking to me every week. I've had that happen. And I had a discussion with the person and we figured out what was going on. But you want to have a conditional guarantee is really, really good, and you want to have some kind of criteria, a strong criteria for that one. All right. Now we're going to wrap everything up. So I know that's a lot of information. We're now going to piece it all together so you have this really nice core offer. All right. Stay with me. Take a deep breath. We're at part 3 of today's summit. We're at the last part of today's summit. All right. Again, we got another beautiful system. It's naming your offer formula. We have our avatar, the problem we solve, the time frame, and the effort. All right. So our avatar is the person that you're trying to help. Remember from earlier, I help blank, who blank, and blank, and blank. Be as specific as possible. This will help you target your ideal client. Remember earlier I said single mom aggressive big dog owners. Don't just go dog owners. Don't just go big dog owners. Don't just go aggressive dog owners. Single mom aggressive big dog owners. Then you're going to talk about the problem that you solve. The bigger the problem, the more value you have to solve it. Clearly identify the problem that you solve and you will have a better offer. If you do not clearly identify it, the people looking at your offer won't know if it's for them. Right? By creating a name that includes the problem, it's really clear for the client to see. What's the difference between dog training versus service dog training for veterans with PTSD? You clearly know who the second one's for and what it does and what the goal is. All right? So the problem that you solve, how to control a dog, how to control an aggressive dog, how to control an aggressive dog that's chasing my kids, how to have confidence and control of my aggressive dog that is chasing my kids. See how specific that is? Now, this personally was the hardest part for me. I thought I had it. I help dog owners. I help dog owners with bad dogs. I help dog owners with bad dogs who want to do more. I help enthusiastic dog owners who want to do more with their dogs but are struggling with problematic behaviors. Boom. I help blank who blank and blank and blank. All right? Then you want to talk about the time frame. Again, shortest time, better. How long will it take for this coaching offer to be completed? Phrasing matters. Which sounds the best? 3 weeks, 21 days, 500 hours, less than a month. 500 hours definitely sounds the longest. Now, depending on your perception, 3 weeks or 21 days probably sounds good, right? It sounds the best. So in the case of making the 5-day online dog trainer summit and mastermind, 5 days. I didn't say a week, because 1 week to me felt longer than 5 days. 5-day online dog trainer mastermind and summit. Even in that offer, you know exactly who this is for. Dog trainers. It's a masterminded summit. What are we going to do? It's going to be 5 days. Now, I could have said, and actually I did say in the tagline, master online dog trainer coaching in 5 days with no money. That's the small amount of effort, all right? We're going to talk about that in a second. So the effort, how much effort is going to be required? Do I have to give something up? You can also handle the objection to the amount of effort in the name. So in my case, master online dog coaching in 5 days with no money, without spending any money, without going to the gym every day, without having to punish your dog, without spending thousands on courses and coaching and training tools. This does a lot for selling for you, right? They know exactly who it's for, they know what the goal is, and they know the amount of time and effort that's required in order to achieve it. Then you just want to make it fancy, okay? Wrapping it up is all about making it fancy. So the 20 single moms, 21-day aggressive dog confidence builder without punishing your dog. That's a very catchy offer. It's a nice headline that you could use for your website. In my case, right? Master online dog training in 5 days with no money. Online dog training. Online dog trainers are going to go this. They're going to say, oh, I want to master it. I want to be able to do it in 5 days, and I don't want to spend any money on it. The 3-week aggressive dog mom control boot camp. Now, in this case, some things might be misconstrued. Aggressive dog mom. Well, is it for aggressive dogs or is it for aggressive dog moms? Right? Moms who are aggressive. All right? Control your aggressive dog in less than a month without spending thousands on training that doesn't work. That's a headline for a website right there. That's a headline for an offer. You do not have to put it in the exact order as above: avatar, problem, time, and effort. And you don't have to use all of them. Right? Like, you can use just the avatar, problem, and time. You can use just the problem, time, and effort. But using all 4 of them is going to always be the best option. Master online dog training in 5 days with no money. What if I just said 5 days with no money? You'd have no idea what I'm talking about. What if I said master online dog training with no money? That could work. Master online dog training in 5 days. That could work. So you want to play around with this. Just throw everything out on a piece of paper. Get it all out of your brain. You know, set a timer for 8 minutes. That's my favorite thing to do. Set a timer and just try to get out as many as you possibly can. The more you get out, the better the name you'll come up with. The first couple are going to be garbage. All right. Now let's talk about pricing your offer. Right? An offer is incomplete without a price. So we're going to do the math. We're going to talk about the pricing equation, and then we're going to be maximizing your profit. All right? This is the last thing we're doing today. So take another deep breath. We've gone over a lot. All right. We've gone over a lot. You guys are doing fantastic. It's a lot of information. Hang in there. All right. Here's the pricing equation. The amount of money spent delivering the offer divided by our magic number equals the price. Right? So the amount of money spent delivering the offer, this is what's typically called your cost of goods sold. What is the monetary value of the time and effort put into this offer? Your hourly rate, the compensation, the acquisition of the client. This monetary value is only for the delivery of one offer, not all operating expenses. So if it costs you $200 to get a client in, but it costs you $1,000 a month to run your business, the money spent delivering the offer is not $1,000 plus $200. It's just the $200. whatever it costs for your hourly rate, however many hours you're going to be spending with this client, your compensation if you get a bonus or something like that, or you're paying another trainer, or the acquisition of the client. Did you have to spend money on ads? Did you have to spend money finding the client? That also counts. That's time spent doing something. All right. So if your hourly rate is $100 versus $20, and you did 6 private sessions, that's $600 versus $120. All right. Now, this is plus the paid ads of $100, let's say. All right. Now let's put that off to the side. So in the case of $100 versus $20, the 6 private sessions is your coaching. You're done with you package system. $600 versus $120 plus $100. So 600 becomes 700, 120 becomes 220. All right, moving on to the magic number. Your magic number can be found by taking 100% minus your desired profit margin equals the magic number. This should be represented by a percent. The smaller the percent, the better. Okay, what is a profit margin? Right, I said it's 100% minus your desired profit margin. What is a profit margin? It's a measure of how much money is a company making on its products and services after subtracting all of the direct and indirect costs involved. As we said, it's expressed as a percentage. Top businesses aim for, hear this, 95 to 99% profit margin. That means if they sell you something that's $100, it cost $1 to make it, they have a $99 profit. Absolutely incredible. You should start around 80 and try to get up to 95 to 99. All right, and the easiest way to increase your margin is by doubling your price. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right, what happens when you double your price? You'll find out at the end. All right, so your magic number is 100% minus your desired profit margin. So 100% minus that 80% I told you to start out with equals 20%. So our magic number is 20%. That's the goal. If we were going to be looking at 95 and 99, that's totally fine. Let's do the math. 100% minus 95% equals 5%. 100% minus 99% equals 1%. And we're going to do those just for fun. So our pricing equation, the amount of money spent delivering the offer divided by the magic number equals the price. In this case, if it's $100 an hour for my time and I do 6 sessions with somebody and I want to have a good profit margin, my magic number is 20. That means my offer must be $3,000. It has to be. The price of the offer must be $3,000. If you think that's too much, just hold on. All right, your offer will speak for itself. If you do the core offer plus the embellishment, you'll start to go, damn, I'd pay $30,000 for this because of the amount of problems I'm solving. All right. Now, if you pay yourself $20 an hour and you do 6 sessions, it's only $120. At an 80% profit margin, our magic number is still 20%. It means you could charge someone $600. You see the difference? $3,000 for someone who's $100 an hour versus $600 for someone who's $20 an hour. It is quite the literal leap. Now, if you want to be that upper percent of businesses who make a 99% profit margin, you would need to charge $60,000 for your services. $60,000 for your services, or pay yourself $20 an hour and only charge $12,000. $12,000 to solve someone's massive problem as fast as possible without putting any effort is very doable. $60,000, it's kind of crazy when we're talking about dogs. Unless you're going to be breeding, raising, training, and supporting a guide dog, which guide dogs typically run around $35,000 to $50,000 per dog. That's a $60,000 dog. I don't think they're making a 1%, 99% profit margin. I doubt that. I highly doubt it. But they could if they did the math right. It'd probably be more like $600,000 per dog. But $12,000, totally doable. 100% doable. So you either pay yourself $20 an hour or you figure out how to get a nice sweet spot in terms of the magic number and profit margin. So what happens if you double your price? Just for fun, we're going to talk about what happens when you double your price, because once I doubled my price, my business started to take off. All right, you 6x the profit. Yeah, let that sink in. Let me show you what I mean. So $200 to $1,200. All right? $200 to $1,200 is what happens. If I had a base offer down here at the bottom left, if I had a base offer of $1,000 and I double it to $2,000, I've increased by $1,000. Right? I've doubled it. I've increased by $1,000. So if my profit was $200 from 20% of that 1,000, let's just say, right, I made $200, and now the additional profit by doubling my price is $1,000 more. I've made $1,200 as compared to $200. Let's do another example here. Oh, do I have another example? No. That is the end of day one. All right. That is the end of day one. We've gone over everything. You have your signature training system, your core offer, your embellishment, you're wrapping it up, you're naming it, and your pricing. If you have any questions, now is the time to write them down. What we're going to do is head on over back to your portal, back inside the Summit module, the Summit course. You'll find a Q&A live session. I'm about to go live in there and answer some people's questions. So what you need to do is head over there, have a sip of water, take a moment, take a deep breath, you stretch your legs, whatever you need to do, and I will see you over there inside the module, inside the Q&A session. If you cannot find it, there should be a button below that'll take you directly to it. There's also your bonuses down there and the worksheet today for the summit. So click all the buttons down there if you need. I will see you guys in the Q&A. Stay great. Take a deep breath. Go get a cup of coffee. And I'll see you there.